So, Brandi, where are you from?
I am from Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska. When did you move out to LA?
I moved out here. I arrived on July the 24th, so it's been almost 3.5 months that I've been here.
What made you want to leave?
Um, Very limited opportunities in Omaha. It's actually kind of a long story that begins with me kind of doing things the way that my family thought I should be doing things instead of being myself, and me completely losing everything anyway in recession. And it got to the point where I just had nothing more to lose. And so I decided that if I was going to be broke and trying to survive, that I was going to be broke and trying to survive doing something that I love instead of doing what I have to day in and day out just to,
What is it that you love?
I love art. I love being an actress. I love being a singer. I love being a model. I love being a jewelry artist. I love musical instruments, everything like that. There's just really no room for that really in the Midwest culture. It's really kind of, I'm trying to think of how to put it without being, because I don't really want to compare it to, but a lot of artistic people out there are almost kind of like in their own little closet. It's something that you don't want to come out and, say that you are, or accept that you are, or try to function like you are in that culture. Because you'll just get told over and over again how much you're going to fail or how it's not realistic. And so there's a lot of people there that are really suppressing who they are. They're really artistic people, and they're just kind of surviving and just not really generally happy. So, but recession motivates change, I think. And so hopefully, in this age where people are finding that they really have nothing else to lose, maybe they'll start realizing that, I can just go ahead and just start being myself, and it's fine.
When did you realize that art was what you wanted to do? What were you doing before, and then you realized, I want to change and pretty much do art?
I was an artist from the time I was really little. I was always doing, freehand sketches, charcoal sketches. I used to do portraits of people when I was really young, as young as 8-10 years old. Drawing pretty realistic drawings to the point where I actually was accused of tracing some of my work, which I never did, and it's really funny because I eventually took a picture. I drew a picture on a chalkboard that I had as a little girl and took a picture of it to prove that I wasn't tracing what I was doing. I was always really good at musical instruments. Those were always my strengths, but I was just never raised to really believe that they were useful skills, even though they were what I was really good at. I come from, blue-collar family, very hardworking, very old-fashioned kind of family, and being an artist just wasn't. If I were to become an artist, it would be a luxury, not something that I could really, depend on in order to support myself or be able to raise a family on that. And so I went to nursing school the first time and worked on the transplant team at UNMC in Omaha for a couple of years, and burnt out of that because I hated it. It was stressful, but I think, at the same time I was much too young to be carrying on work like that, and so I quit. And I went back and got a bachelor's degree in business, again, completely avoiding what I really wanted to do. And I was married at the time, so it was towards my senior year, my second round of college, is when my marriage fell apart. And when all of that just kind of went kaput, that was just kind of what set in motion just kind of the changes that I wanted to make, where I kind of started to fall into acting and fall into getting back to, I guess, getting myself back to where I was, because in the process of doing what I was supposed to be doing, I kind of lost myself. After I graduated college, I got, a management job. I ended up getting fired for a really stupid reason. It was just petty stuff. But I ended up getting sent to the breadlines right around the time that the economy crashed the first time, around 2008. And from that time, I was out of work for more than a year. And that was where I started staying up late and learning how to wire wrap. And I started developing that talent during the time that I was unemployed. And, I just would change out jewelry, I would, make different pieces. I sold some on the side. I acted in some films and did some commercials and stuff for money back home. And I had a waitressing job. And I eventually picked up another job. It was at a jewelry store. I was working in a shop, just kind of repairing and refinishing things like that. And they were skills that I had learned from teaching myself the wire jewelry that I started to make. And just in July, I was let go of my job just very abruptly. And at that time, I really felt like I had nothing else to lose, so I just checked my bank account and found I had a couple $1,000s, and I picked up everything, whatever would fit into my car, and I picked up and I just drove out here, and I haven't looked back.
Do you feel like you're finding more of yourself who you were before since you moved out to LA, or do you find that because LA, you have to, some people kind of fall behind or fall under what you're supposed to be like in LA? Do you feel like you have more of your own identity out here now, or?
I think that I'm in the process of really more or less finding my identity out here. I'm definitely much closer, I think, to finding where I need to be in life, that I wouldn't be, if I were back in Nebraska, I wouldn't be any closer, so to speak. I'm not really worried about the Hollywood crowd out here, and I guess I'm kind of Midwest or whatever. I really don't, it's just, I'm really enjoying it. It's been quite an adjustment. There's a lot of really weird things out here, and I've made fun of some of them on some of my notes and stuff, like on my Facebook blog, and but I feel like I'm growing bit by bit, and the stress is important in the growth. I always think of it as like growing pains. Like when you're growing and it hurts or it makes you uncomfortable, just kind of like the same way that it was when you were a kid and you were growing and your legs hurt or whatever. Kind of same thing. But I'm really happy out here, and I won't go back. I'm not going back to Nebraska, because I wouldn't. It would be a step in the opposite direction, I think, as to where I think I should be heading.
What have you been doing out here since you moved?
I've been getting to know the city. One of the first things that I did is I got involved in dancing. I'm an Irish dancer, and I signed up with a school. I moved around the country when I was younger, trained in Irish dance when I was living in Salt Lake City way back when. And then when I moved back home to Omaha, they didn't offer that. So when I moved to LA, the first thing I did was sign up at the Cleary School of Irish Dance. And I am training to compete in the Oireachtas Regional Irish Dance Competition. That is going to be held in Anaheim on November the 19th. And I'm hoping to, do well at this competition and hopefully get to train for preliminary competition or championships, where I would train as a soloist. I'm working at a local pub here just as a hostess and meeting a lot of really awesome people, and I'm making jewelry and writing and taking my day, taking my time just day by day, and I can't think too hard about, where am I going to be in a month, or where am I going to be in 2 months, and where am I going to be in 3, because to tell you the truth, I just don't know. And for me, it's okay to not know. Like, one of my least favorite questions I've ever had anybody ask me is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? To me, that's a silly question. I mean, if you can seriously look down and predict your life in 5 years, you're not living it to the fullest. And so day by day and week by week, and it never fails. It just, it has its ups and downs. But the ups and the strides that I've gained far outweigh any of the lags or any of the downs that I've experienced out here so far. And so, it's only been 3.5 months, but you have to look at it like that. And I think you can just keep moving on and just not be afraid to dream.